And welcome everybody to episode 29 of the Key, the show where we talk about esports, culture, and happenings and the discussions around them. I'm your host, Draconis, and I'm joined here with Stragwar.
Hey,
How are you doing today?
pretty good. I will start off the show by admitting that I'm in a pretty intense match of Dota, but I'm here and happy to be here, so I hope nobody minds.
We were supposed to not even talk about it, but of course, always with the transparency and honesty from
It's
you.
absolutely,
Uh,
that's my way.
and we're here with just myself and Tamir and Bear, or I guess Joshua, is currently in exams. So for at
Yeah,
least this episode and the next, he will be MIA. But we're actually probably gonna have a break sooner or later for the Christmas season.
hmm
I haven't decided what I wanted to do. I wanted to do a special Christmas episode, but if Josh is missing, that may be a little hard. Like I guess I would only leave the 22nd for when we do something like that. Um, End it for Christmas holidays and then start it back up January 5th. So yeah, you already here. I just told out your schedule. 22nd is our Christmas holiday special, and then from there we take a break until approximately January 5th. Come back after the holidays, all New Year's, and 2016 brand new season of the Key. I don't know about you, but that makes me moist just thinking about it.
definitely, just a little bit.
Just a little bit, just the tip. So, guys, we have an awesome show for you today. Well, not as awesome because this would have been better if Bear was here. Because when he is here, it's always a lot more fun to discuss about him. Just to give you guys a bit of insight, we went through a situation where Bear changed his name because we were picking on him.
Joshua, it's like the ghost of Bear.
So Bear has changed his name mainly because his name was enticing the wrong type of crowd. Or wait, no, she's put a different type of crowd than he was anticipating, or whether that was online or real life, and people were misinterpreting his
Ooh,
interests.
misinterpreting.
Yep, I
That's
just
when
made
it's
up,
severe, severe
and that's when you know.
misinterpretation, misinterpreting.
um, yep, they uh, he was attracting a different type of audience, and now he is the admin formerly known as Bear, now
The
now
ghost of
known
Bear.
as now known as Joshua. He'll correct us and eventually tell us if that's correct.
Sounds a bit sensitive to me.
He is a spring flower
Mm,
um,
tender.
under conspiracies. So, uh, starting the show right into critical update. First things first, I went to the CVAs, which for those who don't know is the Canadian Video Game Awards. Um, Generally, you'd be like, what does that have to do with esports? At the awards, there was a eight team invitational for CS:GO at the event called Northern Arena, which took place prior to the awards show. I have to say, for some reason, it didn't clue or dawn into me that it was an award show, so the dress was formal.
Mm,
So I just ended up going in my jeans and my sweater. Felt incredibly underdressed. So it it was definitely a sight to behold. Overall, though, it was very flashy. It was a very flashy event. I loved the stage. It was a beautiful stage. Notable teams participating were Complexity and
CLG
CLG.
bleu.
CLG Bleu
Yep.
and CLG Red were both competing at the event. I actually have no clue where CLG Red placed, but it wasn't second. Uh, so one can only guess it was third or fourth, if even, out of 8 teams. But CLG Blue took first, leaving Complexity with second. It went off with 10K, 10K for CLG Blue, and 5K for second, I believe, for
Yeah.
Complexity.
Yeah. That's right.
So overall, it was wait. So if it was 10K,
Five.
it was a
The
20. It was
total
a
was 20.
10K. So it was
No.
oh, I guess fourth, third, and fourth
Yep.
split. Okay, I was like, what? But yeah, third and fourth split. Um, yeah, overall it was good matches to be seen. There was a bit of delays on the Saturday by a lot, by a large time frame, but amazingly enough, they were able to conclude it on the Sunday on time with an hour to spare.
Yeah. Did they end up changing the format, by the way? I can't recall.
I heard talks of them changing the format, but I'm gonna take a guess that they did because they finished well above time, but I could 100% be wrong because
Hmm.
it didn't feel like a certain form like I feel like if they played out after starting 4 hours late, they wouldn't have started it with an hour
They wouldn't have finished with
to
an hour to
spare.
spare, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel like they would have finished with an hour to spare, but they did. So who knows how the format went. The overall awards were really nice. I thought it was interesting to see if they would mix esports in there. I was hoping for an esports award. There was not.
None?
Instead, nope, no esports award, which seemed to me like a missed opportunity. But they were just trying on the event, right? They were trying to mix esports for the first time, so I guess they want to really push their crowd, their audience, their regular audience. It was hosted by Victor Lucas of EP Daily. So
Hmm.
he has a very traditional, I'm going to say casual audience, and I don't know how they would have responded to a whole bunch of esports invading.
Right.
Mind you, they did announce that they were going to do a league for 2016,
A
Northern
full
Arena.
Northern Arena League.
Yeah, the full Northern Arena League. They announced it right there at the on the awards, right after Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed taking best design. Um, Speaking of which, Assassin's Creed pretty much won all the awards, which
Seems
was
like a conspiracy to me. Sorry, I was just filling in for Bear.
it felt like it, right? Because Ubisoft had two games in there, two AAA games in a pool of a whole bunch of indie game developers and middle tier developers. It seemed like a slaughter. It was pretty much like watching the same tournament, but
Oosh.
in an award format.
Wrecked.
Pretty much. Um, Ubisoft went home with like 8 awards, except for best game, which was weird.
Which
It
who
was,
won best game?
some like random game, like N plus plus ran it, and I was watching the Twitch chat, and people are like, "What? Who's this game? I've never heard of this game." So they were up against like Far Cry 4, um, Tomb Raider Go, and two Assassin's Creed games, and they won, it was just really bizarre.
Well,
Uh,
I mean, I guess it depends on the award criteria or whatever.
well, though that was hidden, of course. You can't really tell that stuff. So yeah, it was Game of the Year award. By player choice or by audience choice. So I guess that one out of the other ones, I guess this one was you're supposed to go to the website and vote. So either that game went and told all their friends to go and vote, which would make legit sense.
Yep.
Um, or Ubisoft generally didn't care and told no one to vote, and nobody
Right.
knew about it because that wouldn't have
Right.
surprised me.
Yeah. That's.
Um,
I can imagine that they're like too gung ho about this. They're like, yeah.
Especially since the American awards happened the Friday prior.
Right. Right.
So
Like, yeah.
my
I guess so.
my guess was like, that's it.
Besides, they won plenty of awards, so.
Yeah, they had more than enough. So I don't think they were hurting. They weren't like
Mhm.
complaining that they didn't take home one more. You're like, we're out
One
of
out of
trunk space.
16. Yeah.
It's like it's
The
like
vehicle they sent just didn't have enough.
it's like, what am I gonna do with all these awards? Right? Can't hold all these awards. Okay, so jumping into the first topic, newsworthy. Facebook just held a esports summit. I first heard about this on Twitter. Sir Scoots tweeted about it. I first thought it was weird that I didn't, that it was so hush hush. But as you pointed out to me that it wasn't like a business summit for people to come talk about esports, and it was more Facebook doing some market research and a little bit of marketing on their point to get esports leagues and other esports related personalities to use their platform correctly, and how to basically utilize both Facebook and Instagram and start a
Yeah,
conversation
right.
with how Facebook can better serve esports and
Makes
what have.
sense.
What was interesting to see was there was a little bit of there's a little bit of VR in there, and if you don't already know, they own Oculus Rift. Facebook owns Oculus Rift, so there was I would imagine there was discussions about the future of esports on VR. Now, if Bear was here, I would have mocked him and I'd be like, "Look, the future is coming.
It's here. The future is now.
The future is now. What do you say about this?" And he would make some sort of asinine comment about he agrees but doesn't agree,
Mm.
and that augmented reality is just a iceberg away, which I don't see that happening anytime soon.
No.
Um, any thoughts on that about Facebook and
I feel like it's a bit natural. They're just kind of like exploring options, right? I don't feel like they were like, you know what, we're Facebook, we're big, we're bad, we're gonna take over this esports thing by storm right now. Like it's not, it's really not like that. But I mean, this is how Facebook does things. They're like, you know what, this thing is curious to us. We have money. We'll throw a summit. Why not, right? And something good comes out of it potentially. Otherwise, what's the harm? They learned a little bit. They can potentially expand later on. Nothing to lose really. So I think it's just
I hope
the
they
the
I hope
natural
I
growth
hope
of esports is the way I see it. Like bigger companies taking interest, just seeing if there's any room for them in this or anything like that. And yeah,
I hope they sponsor a team. That'd make me happy.
a Facebook sponsored team
Yeah,
that'd be
Facebook's
interesting.
Team Facebook in the LCS.
Yeah, that's I don't know. Like I mean, I'm not. It's not a matter of could or couldn't. It's just I'm not sure that that's the way that they want to go with esports.
Well,
It
if not a team, maybe a tournament. Facebook is into the content game, right? So you might imagine that they would want that content on their platform. Like it's already there, obviously, but I feel like they would do extra things to secure because right now esports lives on Twitch
Yep,
and to a lesser extent YouTube, right? But
yep,
Facebook has recently put a lot of work in making their platform very video friendly, right? Very,
yeah.
highlights and auto plays and all that good
Well,
jazz.
that's what I mean by this is their opportunity to see whether or not esports kind of fits in because they've done a lot of stuff. They've been expanding. Like we're not just a social media anymore, primarily because they're not the only social media. There was a time when Facebook was the only one, and now they're like, all right, well, we're not the only one anymore. Let's see how we're unique and what we can integrate. Obviously, Twitter is huge for esports, and I guess maybe Facebook realizes that a bit, and they're like, how can we appeal to this audience a little bit more, right? That's
It's
um,
that little bit more.
yeah. What could
I'm
what can we do? What can we
well,
do for
that's I
these
mean,
guys?
I think this could be interesting to see what kind of changes happens over the next year and a half. Because Facebook doesn't really have to do anything per se. Like they could just do nothing, and esports would still live on their platform. Like we'd
Right?
still do stuff, and we'd still,
Yeah.
post our highlights and still post our vods and all that stuff, and that would still happen. But
Yep.
I imagine there must be a level which, like, this thing is happening. It's getting bigger, and we need to be a part of it. So one
Yeah.
way or another, I
Definitely.
imagine they're gonna do something about that to get a bit more involved.
Yeah.
Um, moving to the next topic, without Bear's comments and conspiracy theories,
Whew.
I know I miss them. I miss his conspiracy theories. Where he'd be like, I imagine he'd say something along the lines like, "Facebook is big pharma trying to take over esports, collecting that,
He would
collecting
he
that,
would say that, wouldn't he?
taking over our data. Now they're trying to get into our hobby so that they can learn more about us. This is just their way to get back at Snowden."
It all comes together.
um, Turner Esports and CS:GO, they get a little bit serious. So we spoke a little bit earlier. I want to say what, 2 months ago, about Turner Esports TBS. Well, they're
Hasn't
actually
been
not really
that
called
long.
Turner Esports, but it's Turner Sports, Turner Broadcasting. Um, is was getting into esports. They're going to do a league, and now that league officially has a name, and if I remember correctly, Shaq Fu released
What?
that name to us. Yep, that's not the name of the league. But Shaq Fu was the person that announced it to us on Friday during the Canadian. Sorry, again during the Video Game Awards, VGAs. Shaq
What's it called?
Fu, E League,
E League.
E League,
That's okay.
capital E League,
No,
capital
I
L.
I yeah, I got this. I I'm just a little confused. All right, that's an
Why?
odd, just an odd name
It,
for a league.
why? It's pretty much straight to the point. It's a league,
Yeah,
an electronic league, the electronic league. ESL technically is electronic or esports league, right? It's just esports league. So this is just no sports, just E league. Um, Take the
I just
sports
don't
out
like the way that
altogether.
just don't like the way that it sounds when you combine it. The E League thing. It's I don't know.
Capital E, capital league. So starts in 2016. They're gonna fully put onto the television platform. 30 hours of weekly competition streamed live digitally, as if it would do an analog. I don't know why that's actually important. Uh, 10 consecutive weeks of esports programming twice a year. So I guess 2 seasons. If I remember correctly, we're looking at a prize pool of 1.3 million.
1.2 if I recall, something like
Okay,
that.
1.2
It's
per
sizable.
season.
Yeah,
So 2.4 a year in
mm,
terms of pricing for
yeah.
CS:GO, which is not like that's
It's
pretty
big.
much
It's
that's
big.
better than the
They,
majors, if I
yeah, they
remember.
get
Like
four majors a year, 250,000 each. That's a million a year for the majors. So TBS, they just I don't want to say that it's a big gamble, but they're definitely like just kind of stepping into the scene, starting out big. You know what I mean? Like they're not joking around. That's for
they're
sure.
just like, 1.2 million ain't no thing.
Yeah,
We got this.
yeah. We
No,
spend more
they're
on an episode of a regular TV show. This is no big thing. Like
no, no, no. Yeah, 1.2 million from probably the concept of producing regular television is, I'm gonna guess on the middle end, right? It's not.
yeah,
If I remember correctly, producing a television show is like 720,000, um, like a minute, and that's for Game of Thrones. Like a big blockbuster like Game of Thrones is seven hundred
Jesus,
twenty thousand a minute. Um,
damn girl.
yeah, so and that's probably the higher end of the shows. So if
Yes, yes, of course.
you know, producing this couldn't be. This is probably like to them. It's like, oh, cheap programming. Here we go,
Yeah,
easy peasy.
we've been waiting for something this good.
This is yes, finally, at last, right? They must laugh at the esports budgets for like some of the programming shit we do or
Oh my
stuff we
god.
do, and like,
Don't
you
even.
know, we're just scramble to put 20,000 together, 50,000. They're like, whoa, 20,000. Oh, I just woke up this morning and that rolled out of my armpits. Oh, here you go, young one. Start your leagues. Speaking of which, they're going to be doing a qualifier event, which would lead into this. I didn't really see um, the details of that anywhere soon, but it was tweeted that there would be some qualifier event that would lead into letting, and I believe the prize pool for that is something like 250,000 or something silly like that. Um, so yeah, fully integrating. You know what? This is I think this is. I'm not gonna say this is the promised land, but I feel like this is the thing that people were all like begging for. When they're like, we want esports to be recognized as a sport, and we want it to be, mainstream and all this stuff. Like, isn't this what people were answering about? They're like, this is what we want. This is why we want them to pay attention to us, so that they can bring their 1.2 millions that they just, you know, stand over the toilet and release in the morning.
Yeah.
Like because from our point of view, getting 1.2 million is a difficult task, even for a even for the best of publishers. 1.2 million isn't something you're like, whew, I think I could do without one today. Um, for a television station that generally and movies, television and movies, 1.2 million is not that much. I'm guessing. I'm like, I obviously don't work in any of those two industries directly, but based on what I've seen from budgets, I feel like it's not a, like the worst deal for them in
No,
comparison to what they normally would spend
no, of course not.
on a production, right?
No, this is not a lot. There's no way. It's a lot for CS:GO. I mean, and I think that's really like keeping it esports, like bringing it back to the esports part of things. This is
Hmm.
huge for CS:GO. I mean, like I said, just by comparison to the majors, this is a huge injection of funding into the scene. It's going to make a lot of pro players very happy, a lot of teams very happy, and ultimately, it's going to also make a lot of teams that aren't currently in CS:GO like take note of the industry and maybe finally tip those scales about whether or not they should get into this game and have a team. And I think that it's a really good growth
Now,
for that game.
is it going to make people happy though? Like, think about it, because the one thing I that worries me the most about this is the format, right? I don't think we really know the format, and this is television. Television is in Twitch. Like on Twitch, you can broadcast a tournament for hours, and if it goes overtime, assuming your venue didn't kick you out, you can stay there, right? You can keep broadcasting.
Yeah,
If you need to switch to like streaming in the from your satellite truck, then that's what you have to do. But you can still broadcast on Twitch, no matter what, right? And
yeah.
I feel like we as an industry have been comfortable to that. We are allowed to, that's something that's we're used to and we expect. But I don't think that television's different. They do it in blocks of 30 minutes, right? So you gotta fit it. You gotta fit a Counter Strike game. Like, does even a Counter Strike game go for 30 minutes? I feel like it goes longer.
I mean, who knows what kind of programming they have planned, but not like on average, just the one game, yeah. Like, um, but like you said, who knows what the format is or what they're thinking or how they're gonna string it all together. A game like a best of three would definitely go more than 30 minutes. Like there's no doubt about that. But like I said, I don't really know how they're planning on doing um, their consecutive games or anything like that. It's
It concerns me that
it
they're gonna have to change the format to make this something that people will, you know, I don't know if they're gonna want to watch it or the last time we did this on television, we had the CGS, had esports 1.6, and they changed the format so that it would match, so that when you know that they would fit into this time slot, and they changed it. They changed the rules. They changed how the matches are done and all that stuff. And here we are again in the same position, trying to, I'm gonna guess, shoehorn esports into a television format. So something's got to give. Either television's gonna have to change its standards and fit esports in, or we're gonna have to change our standards and fit ourselves into esports. I mean, into television.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Just because, like you said, TV does things very differently. Granted, I mean, at the same time, I don't think anybody's ever denied that stepping into television is a bad thing for the industry. With any change, some people are going to be unhappy. They're not going to be thrilled about perhaps the format or the structure or the makeup and and all that kind of stuff.
Well,
Um,
we do makeup here. Like, we do makeup in
yeah, but yeah,
esports.
but for TV, it's obviously very different. Like they have like things that you can say, and maybe they're not okay calling it a frag or
Oh
whatever.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's probably
You
something.
like the whole the TV conformity, but at the same time, like if anybody's gonna take this very like this seriously, if anybody's gonna really look at CS:GO and be like, you know what, this is like a respectable career that little little Johnny can strive for one day. And you go to high school and you play on your high school CS team, and you go to college and you play on your college CS team. If anybody expects esports to reach those levels of not only social acceptance but like infrastructure, um, TV is bound to happen. And you know what? It's a relationship. There's a bit of give and take, right? To a certain extent, we might see how esports influences television differently. We'll see how it influences the programming, because it's not going to be a mirror model of football or baseball or whatever, right? There's gonna have to be some innovation. So what I mean is like a little bit of give and take. I see that it's esports is going to be affected a little bit by television in this case, and television is going to be affected a little bit by esports, right? They're both going to have to do things a little bit differently. And whether or not it's a good or a bad thing, then truthfully speaking, only time will tell. Like we'll only know once we actually see that programming live. But overall, I think it's a good thing. I mean, if Dota had a TV league like this with huge prize pool, I'd be happy and I'd be excited to see what happens. And I mean, whenever we talk about these giants getting into esports, whether it's Yahoo or whatever, I always say I hope that they do something more with it. I hope that they're not just throwing a bit of money at it and seeing what happens. And it really seems to me like TBS isn't doing that. Like they've come into esports and like they're really doing something with it, right? Like they haven't taken it as a joke or anything like that. They're like, we can definitely like keep up with everything else that's going on in esports. We'll put down the money and we'll put down a full season, and like we'll see how it goes. But like it's not like Yahoo who like swoops in the middle of the night. Yeah, maybe we'll buy up some esports stuff and then they just disappear. Or like or Google, you got like YouTube gaming now, and it's just kind of like there. It's not really a big thing. It's nice and all, but they're not like really focusing on it. I mean, and we see that all too often in esports, like the VP acquisition, right? Like you remember VP got like a huge injection of cash, and
Yeah, whatever happened to that?
well, that's what I mean. It's like, where is it? Whereas here we are a month after we talk about TBS getting into esports, and they're doing things, right? They're making waves. They're pushing limits. That's for sure. And so that's exciting to me. I think that's really good of them.
Huh. It's interesting that you put it like that. Yeah, I think they are aware that they are one of the first movers in television since a long time ago, and they see the hotness, and they're like, okay, so everyone is going to get onto this train. We need to be there first, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a someone woke up, someone said to Bill in marketing and production, and like, look, Bill, we need to get this train started. We need to get it started now because it's hot. And if we don't, ABC, NBC, Fox, they're gonna come in and swoop it up any minute, and then we're gonna be left in behind in the dust. And Bill's just like, get me some esports.
Hmm.
What I can't understand is why is it always first-person shooters? Like North America or America specifically has this huge fascination with guns and first-person shooters. First it was Quake, now it's Counter Strike. And it's funny because North America's, I don't want to say garbage, but not top of the line when it comes to freaking Counter Strike. I'm pretty sure wrecked is the best way to put it sometimes.
I don't know. I don't think that actually, like, don't get me wrong. Other countries, China, for example, have very different standards. Like, they modify a lot of games, so there might be that big barrier for Counter Strike. In Asia, I know, for example, in Dota, a lot of the character models that display just a skull, not even anything like that, are banned. Like,
Well, that's
you can't.
religious, like for
Yeah,
like
but
religious and bad luck, right?
yeah, but I don't know. Like, I'm just saying, like, there are cultural barriers that could be affecting Counter Strike in that way, in these other regions. But I don't know. Like North America, that we definitely have the a lot of CS:GO, and uh, but so does Europe. I mean, I'm just thinking about how many people play CS:GO in North America compared to Europe, and it's not that skewed compared to like the number of people that play MOBAs in North America and like RPGs and MMOs. I don't know. I don't feel like it's like a dominant thing where because most of the people that are gun obsessed in the states don't play video games. So
You know what actually was no, that's true. Well, unless you're COD.
yep.
I saw this really funny post today on Reddit. It was how salty is Sivo right now? because Face It got it that they're running they're the back end for this league's
Right, right.
prop.
They got the contract for the
They
TBS
got the
league.
contract for the TBS qualifier at CES in
Hmm.
Vegas, right? And people are like, Sivo must be salty, right? You know, and I imagine to some degree we're gonna get a lot of when someone like this, a big player comes in, swoops in, there's gonna be some displacements, right? And some
Well,
people
you know what?
surprised.
One person's gonna get the contract. That's the bottom line, right? They can't. They're not gonna come in and be like, yes, goodies for everyone. You know,
I've brought
it's
my bag of tricks for everybody.
I don't
Go
know.
buy
I
me
mean,
your
honestly,
cars.
Face It as an organization, they've proved themselves time and time again. I'm more familiar with their Dota operation than with their CS:GO operation, but like they've run the open qualifiers for the summit, for the majors, for
I
the
hear and
international.
I hear so
They
many
do.
mixed things about it, right? And I guess that can be anything, but I feel like
It's just interesting that like they started out as like a platform for people to play on and kind of an alternative to ladder or to matchmaking or to ranks, and they end up just accruing these contracts for major organizations, qualifiers or bracket management or anything like that. So yeah, as far as like keeping individual players playing on their platform, they haven't really done well. But I like at the same time you can't deny the fact that they keep getting these major contracts to host either qualifiers or stuff like that. And I mean, who knows what the numbers behind them are? Like they could have done the international fives open qualifiers for free for all I know. I mean, it's
in and
it's
of
good
itself,
business for
it's
them. Like
value. Like it's like
yeah.
you see the platform in a different light when you
Oh
kind
yeah. Well, and not just that. I mean, to talk about the traffic to their website. I mean, every game that happens for the open qualifiers, like every team that plays there has to visit the website multiple times a day. Like that's huge amounts of traffic, and not to mention all the people checking the brackets and stuff like that. So, like their servers have to be going crazy. Like it's good traffic for them regardless. So, but for them to nail something like this, where it's not really a big publicity thing, like I don't think that it like you're gonna see Face It everywhere on TV when TBS is programming their stuff. Like
of.
you're not gonna see like, yes, the bracket's brought to you by Face It. Like it's not. I don't think it's gonna be like that. I think this is just like a paid contract. And if I were Sivo, then you got to be disappointed. You've been around for a long time, right? But um,
I mean, there's a level like there must be a bit of salt. Someone in Sivo is salty.
well,
Somebody.
the reality is somebody in Sivo didn't close the deal, right? Like that's
Rip.
there's no way that they didn't reach out or try and do some deeds, right? It didn't happen for them, right? They didn't have the either they couldn't close it, they didn't appear professional enough, they weren't cheap enough. Who knows? Like I'm not gonna try and speculate as to why TBS went with Face It over Sivo, but at the same time, like you have to assume that somebody at Sivo didn't close the deal at the end of the day. Like they got outmaneuvered by Face It, or who knows, right? Like who knows what the inner workings were, but somebody lost. Somebody at Sivo lost. Some account manager or sales marketing department or something like that.
Esports
Somebody.
House of Cards.
Yeah,
Someone got outmaneuvered.
that's got to be the case. Like there's no other way.
Okay.
I can't imagine that TBS was just like, Face It, you're the one, we're done. Like they got to look around, right? They chop around at least a little.
Wow. And now that you think about it, there must have been a story behind it. I would love to have just hear the unearthing of that story of how it played out.
Hmm.
The heart of the heart of the matter and how Face It got this contract over Sivo. But
Hmm.
either or, they've done some like I imagine there must be a level of where it is. Um, they looked over and they're like, "Oh, Face It did this for the international. Well, if it's good enough for the international, good enough for us."
You know what? That's probably a big part of the reason why Face It would do the international for free. Just as an example, you know what I mean? They're like at that point they've set the standard. We're good enough for Valve, good enough for anybody, right? So
It's true. Right? When you handle the qualifiers for the highest prize pool, then in
mhm,
all of esports, where else can you go from up? Right? It's like
that's it.
okay, well. So I wanted to change gears a little bit for something a little bit fun. Um, so esports entrepreneur published their top five
Top five.
brands in Western esports.
Mhm.
Now, there's no real rhyme or reason. of how they came to this evaluation of the amounts. Like it says a few metrics that they use to determine his website viewership, stream impressions, social media, sponsorships. But like I don't know how you would measure sponsorships without knowing how much a sponsorship gives you. I guess maybe they would do it um actual like sponsor presence or the value of a sponsor. Tournament winnings and merchandise product mix. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I think
Did you just
what they
multiply these numbers together? Like I don't know how you would get that, but
well, without questioning their methods, it does seem accurate at a glance. To be
you think
fair,
so?
like
Okay,
well,
let's
just looking at it, like they have pegged some brands that like I wouldn't dispute are the top brands. You know what I mean?
okay. Let's go through them for our audience. So,
Okay.
number five is Optic Gaming at 24 mil. Is it 24 million? 24,500,800. Okay, I'm just gonna say
Yeah.
24 million.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, they're
24.5.
they're the biggest in the Call of Duty
The
Halo
Cotto,
scene.
yeah.
Yeah, as far as I know, right? I'm not huge on those scenes.
No,
I'm
I
not
feel
super
like
knowledge.
that's true.
So,
Followed
um,
by Evil Genius at 27.3
yeah,
million.
that's a no-brainer. Yeah.
At number three, Team Solo Mid
Yeah.
at
That's.
27.4 million.
Hmm.
At number two, Cloud9 at 30.1 million.
Yep.
And number one is Fnatic at 42.5 million.
I mean, interesting to note, most of these have strong teams in CS:GO and League of Legends.
Right.
That's where they get the majority from, like the majority of
Yep.
their numbers from. With the exception being EG. 'Cause correct me if I'm wrong, but EG does not have a strong League of Legends presence.
I don't think so. I actually can't tell
Uh,
you the last time I saw an EG team mentioned. There
yeah,
you have it.
so they don't even have a League of Legends team.
Which is
That makes.
curious. That's curious that they wouldn't have a League of Legends
I
team.
mean, I don't know if I was the manager of EG, I wouldn't have a League of Legends team.
Yes, but that's for different reasons then.
Just throw that out there.
Different reasons, right?
Hold on, I'm getting some insider
Um,
info here. Little bird is typing in my ear.
uh,
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
is it an
Who's?
alliance? Is it an
No, there's no
alliance?
alliance team.
Oh, okay. Well, we're getting told that apparently Good Game Agency has a League of Legends team, but not EG brand proper. So,
Mm,
um,
Either way,
I
the
wanted
point
to.
is they're measuring the problem with it really is they're measuring EG, and we know that EG is just a segment of Good Game Agency. I
Alliance.
mean, imagine if Alliance, EG, all these teams were under one banner. I imagine the franchise would be worth a lot more.
Okay, so let's. What I want to do is I wanted to hear your top five of esports brand from 5 to 1, and then I want to put my top five, and I'm curious to know if we would think the same teams. Now, if and they may still you might choose these same teams. Do you think this order is the same? How would you do it without just taking from your own perspective?
Uh, what's really surprising to me is that I don't see any Asian agencies in
Oh,
in that lineup, which kind
I
of
feel like those Asian agencies are like, where's SK Telecom one? I'm surprised. Like, I
I
feel
I
like,
just it's really surprising to me just because it makes me feel like there's something missing in these
oh wait,
metrics.
this is for Western esports, so I guess that
Oh,
might
is
be,
it? Okay, well
yeah.
that okay.
So that would
In
explain it. This
in that case, I'm not sure why Fnatic is really in there.
aren't they European? Like
It is a
solely
European
European?
it is a European organization, but their Dota team is entirely Southeast Asian, um, which is it's Fnatic. Like they've been known to just pick up whatever group suits them best, right? They're not like
Well, this
our
appears. I
players
guess
have to be.
this is based off of like League of Legends. From what I'm guessing, it's top four in League of Legends World Championship. So I'm guessing League of Legends Fnatic is North American.
I think they're European, to be fair, but
No, well, League of Legends. They're League of Legends team.
yeah, I think their League of Legends team is European, is it not?
Oh, okay. Well, rip it.
I'm honestly
Uh,
not an expert. I can't
well,
make.
I'm sure our master Delk will correct this in a bit. So, what would you choose for the West in terms of Western brands? Top five.
Honestly, I'm surprised that Navi isn't on there. They seem like a strong
I thought
brand,
Navi was European.
but still technically West, no? I mean, if Fnatic can get on there, then why can't Navi get on there?
Oh, are we including Europe as the West too? I guess
Uh,
everyone who's not Asia and like Korea is technically the
that's
East, and everything
that
else is
that
the
that's
West.
that yeah, that's west to me. Like if you're not Chinese
Okay,
or
okay.
Korean,
I just assumed we were talking about North America, but I guess if we're including Europe, I don't see Dignitas on here, which I would imagine.
not a super strong brand if you ask me, but
You don't think so?
no.
What
Um,
Virtus Pro, or is that
that
Like Russia?
that's one of the ones I was gonna say, like kind of like Navi. I'm like, where's VP and where's um where's
Ninja
Navi?
Nip?
Like, yeah,
I would
Nip. Like,
Nip.
there's I don't know. It's hard to say just because there's no real guideline for the borders or the criteria that they use, or like you said, the the formula that they use to calculate these numbers, not just like what criteria they use, but how they combine them to produce this
Hmm.
number. Um, so it's a bit weird, but yeah, it's still relatively accurate to me. Like I said, it's not. It's just hard to say these are the top. Like you know what I mean? For that I need the criteria,
I
but I
would
don't.
I would
But
go under my own criteria. I would say Optic Gaming. I would probably put Optic Gaming. I think Evil Genius
I just don't see
does
Optic
go
Gaming.
fourth.
I just don't see. I don't. Okay, that it's so hard to say just because of the different games. But I don't think that Optic Gaming has any space on this list. Not because they're not huge in their scene, just that their scene is so small compared to the others.
You think as because their game is smaller than the other games and they're only big in one game that they should be.
Yeah, I
Well,
haven't heard of any Optic Gaming, League of
well,
Legends, Optic.
everyone, all these games have like they're specifically big in one game and not necessarily the others.
No, that's what I
Like
was saying earlier.
they're
That's
like
not true.
second and third or fourth.
That's actually the trend that I was identifying. That's not true. Is that most of them are actually big in both CS:GO and League of Legends. That's like where they get. I would assume the
I would say
majority of
that's
their coins.
Cloud9. Like
No, not just
Cloud9
Cloud9,
is
TSM. TSM
TSM
is big.
CS:GO.
Yeah,
Really?
they're big. Oh yeah,
Are they?
they're a strong European team. Yeah.
Mm, okay,
Um.
well, you know that a little bit better than I do.
Anyway, that's so for my top five in North America, the brands that I see the most definitely EG. If we're just talking Europe, like North America as Western, then it's EG, Cloud9. If we're limiting it to North America, like you said, then obviously Dignitas and Liquid, and then
Oh,
Complexity
Liquid.
actually, and
Fuck.
Complexity actually. But that's just
Well,
if I'm
wait,
limiting it
hold
to
on,
North
wait.
America.
Liquid is definitely European though. Like they're European based.
No, but they have a strong North American presence. Like if I'm talking
Okay.
about who is visible to me as in like
Okay.
North,
Okay. Okay.
right?
I respect
It's
that. That's true.
they had a really respectable North American Dota team for a while and some other stuff going for them. So, but it's hard in North America. Like I said, there's very obviously very limited amounts in North America. But like honestly, if you ask me about Western, I think like Western includes Europe for sure, including Russia even, which is technically not even Europe.
Virtus Pro.
But Virtus Pro and Navi are like really strong brands that I'm surprised didn't make it onto this list somehow. That's super.
I love Virtus Pro's brand. Like almost as much as I
Really?
like Ninjas and yeah, I like Virtus Pro's brand. Like I think at first I wasn't too into it because I felt that the polar bear was very like it was too much. Like it was almost too busy as a brand. But I felt it reminded me very much like football as I started to see it more and more. And I saw some of the really cool things that they did with their brand. Ninjas in pajamas, I think, really pushed their brand's visibility, and but I
Even
don't
the
think they
chocolate,
have
you
this.
know.
Yeah, the chocolate I think was such a good win move, but I don't know what that means in a dollar sense. Like I know these are all visibility plays for their brands.
Yeah.
Ninja Pajamas do a lot of things for their fans in terms of being able to connect with their fans, and I would think the fan equity is one of those things that I think almost trumps victories in many regards. I think that's something that's not really mentioned here is
Well,
fan equity,
the
and I
Maple
think
Leafs taught us that.
yeah, and I think that's like Evil Geniuses does it with their Bleed Blue.
Oh, dude,
Um,
have you seen Pizza.gg?
it's
If you want to talk
oh,
about fan service, EG win hands down. Like
like
there's just no competition. When you give your
I,
fans 50% off pizza, like you just won the fan vote.
and I feel like that's something that's missing from here is fan equity.
Yeah,
Um,
I
and
agree.
merchandising. I think fan equity and merchant. Oh, actually, no, it says fan merchandise product mix. Sorry, that's so.
If we're
If
actually
I was,
talking about it, just go to pizza.gg right now if you're
oh, I
listening.
have. This is the second time
Not you,
around.
not you. If you're listening,
Oh,
like
oh,
anybody who doesn't
people.
know what I'm talking about, like that's crazy to me. It's actually like so crazy that
So
they're just like Pizza for all our fans.
So in terms of and also sizes of brands that they have acquired, like which one has HTC? That's Team Liquid, right? So
Uh,
yes,
yes,
Team Liquid has HTC.
sure.
So in terms of like big name brands, Evil Genius, and Team Liquid, pretty solid. Cloud9, Fnatic is the one. Fnatic, was it Fnatic who just released a mouse? I think it was Fnatic.
Yeah, they have a whole product line. We talked about
Yes,
it
we
the
just
other
talked
week
about it.
where
So
we weren't sure
Fnatic,
if they. Yeah. Sorry,
I
go
would
ahead.
probably keep Fnatic. I'd probably keep Fnatic at number one, just because of that. I feel like that's a strong, but I would put Evil Geniuses a lot higher.
If you
Maybe
asked me a year ago, I would have put Fnatic at the top easily, like no questions asked, just because they had a really strong Dota, League of Legends, and CS:GO presence, but they've kind of lost their League of Legends presence a bit, which makes it hard to vote for them.
the League of
Uh,
Legends or Dota presence.
sorry, their Dota presence. Sorry, I'm mixing words. They used to have a really strong Dota presence. They weren't like a winning team. They weren't like number one, but they were there. Like they were at all the major tournaments. They had really good visibility. Like they did a lot of good stuff. Um,
Abs-
today not as much. There's I think they're still trying to find a roster, but they're it's a strong brand. They always have been, I guess, to a large extent, a really strong brand.
Okay, so let's go into our discussion about topics so we can get close to ending it tonight. So, is there room for porn in esports, or is there room
Uh,
in esports for porn?
okay.
And I guess I should
This
probably let's give this some context. Let's give it some
yeah,
context.
please
There's some
do.
context.
Because I'm just like, I don't think that we get to decide one way or another. That's kind of just gonna happen by virtue of who plays these games. But that's a very different question,
So the
obviously.
context of what brought this kind of discussion up was Team UP, everyone's favorite porn site,
Oh, jeez.
has has made headlines again. I want to say something. Like I don't like before we even jump into the context. But something that I actually really kind of resonate and like this Team U Porn. A, their brand is not offensive to me. Like I actually really like their brand. So it's not the nicest logo, but over time I think it will clean up and it'll look really sharp. But
Yeah,
right now I'm their colors are actually on point, really on point, really
you like
good
the
for their
pink?
brand. I like the pink. I think it's not too effeminate and it's not too
You would like the pink.
I knew you were gonna say that. I knew
I
it.
had
Like
to. I come
I
on.
like I was gonna say it's not too effeminate, but at the
Who
same time, it
who would
looks
I
good.
be? Who would
Who
I be
would
if
you
I
be? No,
didn't?
if you didn't, right? It's
Yeah.
subtle. It speaks to the brand. It speaks to what they're about without saying what they're about. Right?
Have you ever
It.
considered how difficult it must be to be the YP manager and be like, damn, like it's so difficult to get players to play for my brand?
I
You
don't
know what
think
I
so.
mean?
I think they just say, would you want to get sponsored? And people come flying out the woodworks. If I remember
Yeah.
correctly.
Obviously, you're gonna get a bazillion people like wanting, but I mean the really good ones, like your 8,000 matchmaking points kind of players, like they don't. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not like he's got his like selection of the best players in the world to choose from. He's not like Navi or
No,
whatnot.
but at the same time, you just need people who have potential. You can give them the platform for them to be able to do their thing, let them, eat and breathe esports and let them thrive, right? As long as they have potential, maybe a few locals under their belts, placed well in an international, and you're like, okay, you know what? You're in a position that you need to be helped up. I'm in a position where I need to be exposed. Let's work together, right?
Well,
You're
see
never gonna.
that's the thing though. I look at the teams and they're not those people. Like the Dota team has nobody that's ever even played in an international.
Rip.
For example, just so that's why I'm like, I imagine that it's not by choice. It's just a bit difficult for them to find those people. Like, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. So, giving people a bit of context. So, over the weekend, we had the Capcom Cup, and a player called Valmaster was not allowed to wear his team's jersey. And this is not something that he should have been surprised about because every tournament, every sponsor, every like platform prefaces and says you can't endorse alcohol, sex, violence,
Porn.
pornography, all this stuff. It's written in the rules. We all know about it. Everybody knows about it. You don't really have to dig that hard in your rule books of any event to kind of see that.
Right.
I imagine Team UP or UPorn has known that, and they were very explicit on designing their brand in a way that you wouldn't be able to tell that it was porn unless you were either directly related to the industry or you were to, I guess, be told, right? Because technically, if we didn't know anything, if we knew nothing about if we knew about YouPorn, I would never be able to tell that this was a pornography site
What?
team. Like I wouldn't be able to tell Team UP if it
They're
says
called YouPorn.
no. It's called Team UYP. It's not called Team YouPorn. It's called Team YP.
Yeah, but I
You
mean,
you would if you did not know that YP stood for YouPorn, you would never be able to guess
yeah,
that
okay.
it was a pornography
No,
team. Like it
okay.
was a team sponsored by pornography.
Yeah,
Never.
but the YP has to stand for something. People are gonna want to know what it stands for. Like,
Sure, sure. But it could be no. It does. It stands for Team YP.
oh,
It's just
I don't. All
it's
right.
Team YP.
I'll
Anyways,
agree with you that you can't know what you don't know, but like that's that if that being the basis for your argument, like I'm just gonna gloss over that.
Okay, so Capcom essentially told the player that he was
Yeah.
prohibited wearing his team colors at the recent Capcom tournaments. Um, and I don't actually know, and I'm sure Doug will tell, is that did he eventually get that resolved? I'm presuming he had to not play like he played, just without Team Unicorn's jersey. Probably had to take it off in the venue. He was just listed at Valamaster, so it wasn't YP Valamaster, no jersey. I don't know if I don't know if that's embarrassing for the player or if they knew going in. I feel like they did know going in because a few days or weeks ago, actually I want to say a few days ago, Team YP sent a picture, tweeted a picture with their shirt, with their new shirt, quote unquote, more of a cheeky version with a blackout. Like if you ever, I'm assuming if anyone's ever seen a video with porn and they're trying to block the genitalia, it's like
Censored. Censored.
censored. That's it, censored. A new censored shirt, which I thought was super clever. Really respect that. It's a really cheeky um, social media play,
Yeah.
and I thought it was it was tasteful. It was funny. It was tasteful. I got a giggle out of it.
It just kind of shows that they're like, while everybody else is taking them so seriously, they're like, look, guys, we're just trying to have some fun and do some good stuff, you know?
And that's it, right? And I think, overall as a brand, it's a cheeky little brand, and I like that. I think that takes a different direction than most of it. So, putting into our discussion, I personally believe there is space for pornography in YouPorn's way. Like, I don't know how I feel personally about like Brazers or Brazzers or however. You can tell I personally do not visit those sites.
Well, no,
Uh,
I mean, obviously not. Those don't obviously satisfy your tastes, your unique tastes.
here it comes. Oh, expose me, please. um, team, or Team Red Tube, or any of those particular teams. Like, this is no different than back in the days when cigarettes wanted to sponsor
You heard it?
NASCAR and
Just like cigarettes.
any key exclusive right here. Telling you, you know what? And Marlboro and all those guys were like, or DeSanto is like, look, we want to get into sports. We're gonna sponsor some teams, right? And people are like, because they weren't
Yeah,
allowed to,
yeah.
do
No, like
advertising, right?
I understand. Like the controversial sponsorships, they do have a hurdle to pass, and I see YouPorn very much the same way. There's nothing fundamentally wrong about it. They do have more of a connection to this market than most other sponsors, truthfully speaking. Like there's a lot of like mismatched marketing going on in esports right now, just because it's hot and a lot of people are trying to get into it. And I mean, to an extent, yeah, YouPorn they do make a solid case when they say like, you know what, a lot of people that play in esports also frequent our website. So
And I think they backed that up with some statistics, saying that
absolutely, yeah.
they said that the the most people, large number of their audience, enter their site via consoles. This actually kind of threw me for a loop.
Really,
Yes, so
that's
51%
fascinating.
through 51% through PlayStation, 39% through Xbox, and 10% through
I
the
wonder
Wii.
if this is just people who haven't discovered incognito. Like, what, what's?
Can you?
Why would you? It's so
It blew my
bizarre.
mind. Honestly, I was like, I can
Maybe.
never imagine myself going to porn on my PlayStation. Like for me, my PlayStation or my consoles are in a very open
Right.
space,
And they're a
right?
sacred piece to you. They're kind of like,
They are. They're used for gaming. That's that's what I have them for.
yeah.
I kind of couldn't imagine myself particularly booting up my PlayStation or my Xbox and going to the browser and be like Xbox search YouPorn
Right.
or those
Well, I
sites,
mean,
right?
I guess for that, that would exact that kind of unveils the reason why it's already connected to the TV, and that's ultimately why people use it for that, I suppose, right? They want the
But you have
TV
your computer,
experience.
right?
Well, no, it's
Oh, the TV. Oh,
surround sound. You know,
I didn't even think about that.
I'm pretty sure it's all about the surround sound.
Ah, this. Can you imagine your high def pornography? Well, maybe I guess some people can imagine. I have never been like I maybe I'm not like I don't know if I'd ever have it in like a big space around sound. I don't know what that. I guess that's why VR is so hot too. People are like they want
Oh
that
yeah.
experience, that
Well, maybe that's why
pornography full
UP is
immerse.
getting into it because they know that virtual reality is the next step in esports.
Ah, could
They're
you
getting ahead
imagine?
of the game. See the connection?
Oh
It's there.
gosh,
Talk about that conspiracy.
Bear, where are you? So 91.5% of their game of these gamers are male ages and 77% are ages 18 to 34. So this is undoubtedly their like key demo.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Absolutely key demo. Everything they want is there, right? Um, Delk brought up a good point. Don't know if there's you obviously can't really be lower than 18. That would violate their terms of service. Um, So, if anything, though, I feel like the fighting game community would most embrace this sponsor. Like, I just something about like the community is known for being raw, very um, urban, and I feel
Mm.
like this would be the perfect sponsor. Like, and obviously, this is more Capcom than anything. The
I
community itself probably doesn't
I don't
give
know
two
if I
flying.
want to make any accusations like that. Um,
I'll go ahead and say
but
it. There's no secret. It's an urban community.
an urban
Uh,
community, that's yeah, I guess they are.
I don't know. It's just that's there's no there's an element where I imagine from the grassroots elements of the fighting game community where it has been a lot more raw than the suits and ties of esports LCS level.
Mhm.
Um, uh, um, Doug just totally threw me for a loop there because what he said was probably true. But it's generally, drinking on stream, swearing on a stream. Those are things that are
Is it?
commonplace
I
like
haven't
in the
watched
lower
any of it.
levels. From like it's it's what makes it good. Personally, I like that.
It
It's a
makes it
different
earthy.
earthy. Yes, it's
Say it.
down to earth.
Say
Very
earthy.
down to earth. It's very dearth.
Ooh, dirty.
Down to earth, and connected with itself, right? They don't lose
Yeah.
sight of the arcade feel because these stuff. If you ever had an arcade, it was dank and dingy, and sometimes in a
Dang. So dang.
billiard yard, where with guys smoking and drinking beer, and you just want to play a game of Street Fighter, and that stuff kind of just grows up with the community.
Yeah.
Um, and pornography fits right into that. So I think fighting games, if anything, should really allow and have viewporn. But Capcom is a family company, right? They don't
Yeah.
want themselves anywhere near that.
A family
Uh,
company. That's
I
interesting.
think that they make like all sorts of children games and games that kids can play, and mobile games, accessible games, right? But I don't know. Do you feel that we should ban pornography completely? Like it just has
No.
no place?
No. I don't.
Oh,
I mean, in far as esports go, absolutely not. Like, there's no there's no reason, in my opinion. Like it's not that I'm like for it. I'm not like, yes, this is the most wonderful thing that could enter our scene. It's just, you know what? Nobody's given me a reason against it, and until I hear some reason for it to not be in, like to not be a part, I don't like why ban like until I've heard a good reason for to remove them. I don't see why. Like why exclude them if there's like no legitimate
No,
reason.
it's because children, right? There's children around.
Well, that's I mean, is people watching the FGC really like, you know, 4-year olds, and like is that the argument that we're making right now? Like,
I don't know if
um,
they're 4-year-olds, but like, it's not just FGC. But if you think about like from the FGC, if you make that leniency, other games and other genres would have to make that decision. So, it could it set a precedent, and maybe we come to this conclusion, or esports as a whole comes to the conclusion that we should allow pornography because this is a male driven, um, or male dominant industry where a lot of our demo watch pornography. That's it. Like that's it. We watch pornography. I
yeah,
think
well,
majority of people can agree that, and it obviously wouldn't be an industry if that wasn't the case. It's like it's very much similar to a cemetery where it's recession proof. We're always going to need a little bit of porn, no matter what the times say. So, you know, sure, we can have it, but some people would also argue that why influence our children and children's children, and those children, like Disney's about to jump into esports. How do you think they feel thinking about?
well, okay. I guess there's a bit of a contrast there if you juxtapose it like that. Then I see kind of what you're saying, but like, ah,
Like
for,
Disney's getting into esports, and they're
okay,
like, "Ooh,
un,
porn!
un, we can't be around this.
We can't be
Uh,
around this. We're a family company. We can't have
okay, well,
pornography."
um. Okay, how about this? I guess the way that I see it is like the people who watch esports are obviously not the like Disney demographic. I would bring up the Ultimate Fighter as kind of like a bit of a yeah, a bit of a comparison perhaps as to like, well, the lines aren't crystal clear. Like obviously YouPorn isn't sponsoring the NHL or anything like that, but could they get into Ultimate Fighting? You know what? Probably.
I don't know where you draw the line on that. To me,
Well,
that's like it's
I'm
all the
just saying.
same.
All I'm trying to say is the nature of some of these esports that are being played is not for a younger audience. Like you're not going to have a 4-year-old watching Counter Strike. It's not according to ratings, not according to my opinion, right? This is just how we rate these games. It's not rated E for everyone, is what I'm trying to say, right?
True,
Um,
true.
so is there a place for them? Generally, yes. Is it?
Because
Yeah. Go ahead.
do you see? Okay, because there's another thing comes alcohol and beer. I put in the same category as pornography, where it is.
Really?
Yep, I put beer and alcohol in the same category as pornography, where it is. It's a non-traditional, not traditional, but like it goes off the path of good morals and causes people to do things like that's I'm presuming what ultimately back in the day we were trying to guard people against. And generally, alcohol isn't allowed to advertise in certain places or certain avenue, but they also can sponsor things. Right? I've seen them sponsor NASCAR. I've seen them
Oh yeah.
sponsor
Oh yeah.
football,
Absolutely.
and Budweiser's all over that football.
Mhm.
So why pornography? Why is pornography blocked? I don't, I
I
don't.
I that's what I'm saying. I haven't had a good reason for it to be blocked yet. Like the Disney thing is like it's a pretty close reason to like being a good reason to block it, but like I don't know, it's still like not not a good reason. Like it's like I can see the competition between the two, but like should we tell them like should we outlaw them based on that? I don't think so. I don't.
Well, ultimately, I guess it comes down to the organizers, right? Because some organizers can be like, yeah, whatever, we
Well,
can
yeah,
have porn.
right now it does come down to the organizers. That's just like state of fact, right? Like some organizers allow it. Dota, Team Uporn haven't had any issues that I know of. Nobody's told them to remove their tags or don't participate in anything. And
Well,
my
they haven't
apology.
made it. They haven't made it to like a major, right? Because we
No,
don't know what
but they
happens once they
have
make it to that level.
No, but they have participated in things, and I mean, whether or not you're playing for 10,000 or playing for 3 million, I imagine an organizer is going to have an opinion one way or another. And really,
I
what I'm
for one
saying
would
is,
I personally would let Team Uporn play in a tournament that I was hosting personally.
so I watched them play against some of the big teams. There was no issues with them. They did modestly well, but at the same time, like, um, it's it does come down entirely to the organizer right now. It's about where do the organizers stand on this topic, and it's I don't see, like, okay, for one, for it to not come down to organizer preference, basically you'd have to have some kind of governing body, which esports doesn't have right now.
No,
And until it does, that's obviously not going to change. So, but purely speculation wise, I don't think that anybody needs to ban it. I don't think anybody needs to outlaw them right now. And like, obviously Mario Kart esports, like we were talking about last week, you're not going to have a YouPorn team. um, but as far as like fighting games which aren't rated E for everyone, and that kind of stuff, it seems silly to me that a game um, that's not rated for everybody, that's not rated for children, would outlaw this. You know what I mean?
yeah, I can see that. And for this particular tournament, I'm going to imagine though it boils down to their brand name being associated, right? Um,
That's what confuses me about Capcom, because you said Capcom's like a family brand, and maybe as the brand as a whole, but like that tournament definitely wasn't like an all
well,
ages
no,
kind of
absolutely
thing.
no. But you have to remember, Capcom does make games that are E for everyone, right? And
Yeah.
all it takes is one parent to be like, I know this means you porn, to start a petition. Like, parents get offended over the most slightest things, like, and they start petitions for all sorts. I once saw a parent start a petition because Play-Doh made one of their pumps look phallic, and they started a huge thing about how
I
Play-Doh
mean,
is trying to infect their children young with
they probably were.
unwhole unwholesome family values
Say,
because
I've never
they're
trusted
squeeze pump.
Play-Doh. Just saying, it's like,
that
you give it to the kid, they can do whatever they want with it. How is that for children?
What does that doesn't mean anything. Children are supposed to be creative. That's the point when you're supposed to be most creative in your life. If you want to make a Play-Doh penis, then you should be allowed to make a Play-Doh penis. Like,
Well, there you have it, folks. That's the answer. If Play-Doh can be turned into a penis, then newborn should be allowed to participate in esports. I rest
and
my
on that
case.
note, and
You
on that,
just
oh,
you just
we
got
finish
baited.
we'll leave it on that note, and we'll start wrapping up the show on. We won't even do a recap because that was that.
I was my last point really to drive home about whether or not they should be allowed or not was just about parents getting up in arms, and I was just like, if you're gonna pick battles about what your kids are allowed and not allowed to see, then that's parents' discretion. If you don't like your kids watching esports because there's a team called YouPorn, then turn it off, right? Until they're old enough to make up their own minds. And um, but that's ultimately what it is. Kids are going to be exposed to this kind of stuff in a plethora of other ways. Trust me, esports is probably the last. They go to a public school, for crying out loud. Um,
They
I
might
don't,
have,
I you
Catholic
know
children. I guess
maybe, but
I
in
don't know.
that
Do
case,
they
what
have
are they
Catholic
doing?
schools in? Do they have Catholic schools in the states? Like, I don't
When
know.
was the last time you saw a Catholic esports league?
Coming soon, TM.
That's well, there you go. We found our niche. No, but honestly, that's what I'm saying. Like, if this is what you're worried of, then turn off the TV. Like, would you have cable? Do you have access to internet? Then you're endangering your child's exposure already. Like, let's not peg esports as like the one medium that has this thing kind of happen. Should we encourage it? I don't think that letting any team be called Team Uporn is a matter of encouraging or not encouraging it. It's like you said, it's like cigarettes. If a kid sees cigarettes on a NASCAR, does that mean that they're an addict now? Like, it's
There, I'm positive there's a level of which frequency of seeing people smoke increases the likelihood that you'll smoke. Like, I don't know any statistics. I'm actually pulling that out of my ass, but I do believe personally and qualitatively that frequency uh, begets activity or habits.
yeah,
So,
but it's not like Team Uporn is masturbating on stream. I mean,
and I'm done.
anyway, just I'm just saying our
Fair enough.
our 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 blurred lines are a bit like this is not the battle to choose. Is all I'm saying. Like if you're an
I'm
Upvote,
done. I
okay,
lost.
all right, fine, fine,
I
we're
lost.
done. Yep, wrap it up.
Okay, so wrapping it up just quickly. That was a good point. I'm gonna have to keep that for a highlight. Um, wrapping it up, I guess we'll do a quick overview. It's Facebook Esports Summit, Tamir.
It you know it's good. It's just another one of those indicators along the way that esports is getting that kind of attention that we want. It's going in the direction that we want, which is ultimately growing and gaining popular acceptance. Both Facebook, TBS, all these organizations snooping around is nothing but good. It doesn't
Uh,
mean anything. I don't suspect that a Facebook team or a Facebook league or anything like that. I just expect that they're going to try and make themselves a little bit more accessible to our industry and give us a little bit more space. Like maybe they'll add under occupations like esports or something like that. You know what I mean?
that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
My final thoughts is VR is the future. Clearly, Facebook knows, and everyone else needs to know that too. I'm going to be touting that until I die. That VR is the future. Get
If we
on
could
that
just
train
tag
now.
Bear right here, just
I
like this.
wish. I wish like it would notify him
Tag.
on his phone while he's
That's
doing his exams, and it's like VR is the future.
VR is the
On the
future. That's it. Any key exclusive.
Final thoughts: Turner Esports and the CS:GO League, Tamir.
As I'll parrot what you said. I'm interested to see the format and how they handle it, but ultimately I think it's a good thing, even if it's a huge failure. At least TBS is doing things. I'm always excited to see big organizations like this take esports to the next level, and not just kind of like buy up a piece of real estate and walk away. Um, they seem to have created
Buy a
something.
plot of land and just leave it
They
be.
didn't they didn't even buy anything. That's the beauty. They just created it, which is even better, in my opinion. It's like a new player has entered the game, and they're serious, right? They're ready to do business, even if it's a huge failure. I'm excited to see how it develops and what new insights they can bring into esports. Like they're gonna innovate one way or another, whether it's through failing or through succeeding. We're gonna learn something from it. That's good. That's good for us.
My final thought: Turner Esports and the CS:GO League. I'm very concerned about the time limit and how it'll affect the format. But as you said to me, I think that we can learn something that maybe we might even enjoy the format. Maybe they will be so creative and innovative they'll create their own kind of format that is enjoyable for us to watch. I am skeptical, but that's because I don't like change, and like any human, I actually try to fight against it. But once you get that forced into you, you kind of you
You
enjoy it.
you don't embrace our TV overlords.
No, you know what? I've been I hate television just because the amount of commercials I've been really much against, except for HBO as a television broadcaster. I've never been a big fan of content produced for the sake of interruption. That's if you were to delve into my own personal beliefs in terms of content and stuff. I've never believed in the whole I'm going to make this piece of content so that I can interrupt you for 5 minutes with stuff that
Regularly,
you may regularly on a
or
like
you
on
can
time
pay to not be
intervals.
interrupted.
Yes, like I'm never that really irks me, and I know that is what we have to do as content producers, television or otherwise. But it just like as a person who enjoys, I really enjoy content. I love consuming it. I just hate being interrupted by it, and to me, like this league could be the best piece of content that they could make, and it worries me that there could be a chance that they may just cancel it because it didn't bring in enough viewers, or because we're not on television, or like stuff like that really bother, or they won't cross syndicate it onto Twitch because it's they're not gonna make any money because they're on their advertisers are on television. So that kind of stuff irks me about television and their mentality, and I fear for this league because this is a really good opportunity. This is probably somebody's brainchild. Somebody in Turner is like, I want to embrace esports, like sincerely embrace esports. I want to use Turner's resources to do it, and I'm going to make this project. And we're going to make this happen. We're going to give 1.2 million, which for the community is a really good thing. But it's disappointing to believe that the model that television employs could destroy that thing, and that makes me sad. So yeah, that's my thought on that. Um, So let's just end the show on that, and we'll go to final thoughts. We already sorry to the end messages. Tamir, where can they find you on the interwebs, please?
At Strygward, if you're watching the stream, it's on there. If not, it's at STRYGWYRD, and the D is silent.
Yeah, listen, D is silent. Like I've used that line so much. You can we're anywhere else. That's it.
Just tweet at me.
Okay.
I mean, I'm elsewhere, but don't come looking.
You can find me on Twitter at Draconis, Drekkonis. I actually also my Facebook has become quite the hotbed for esports top discussion. I'm very sad that I didn't make it Draconis on Facebook, so it's actually facebook.com/Drakenpones, all one word. Join for the esports discussions there. And I'm also available on Instagram at Draconis. You can find this show and other esports doings on ESChamp, ESCHAMP on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and all those good things.
Not Instagram.
Instagram, unfortunately, ESChamp has claimed the victory here, and you can find us at ESChampGG. I think at
One
some
day,
point, though,
one day we're gonna have Eric on the show.
one day we'll either find Eric or we will just claim esports or ESChamp GG and make it a URL so that it
We're gonna have a chat with Eric on the show. We're gonna bring him in as a guest.
Can you imagine just capture him and then he's like, we want to know the mentality behind you choosing our name. And I'm like, but I'm Eric Champ. I'm like, no, unacceptable.
This is not sufficient reason.
You can find the show also on iTunes and SoundCloud. Pretty much, actually, SoundCloud is soundcloud.com/ESChamp. Probably should change it to the any key, but iTunes, you just type the any key in iTunes and it'll pop on up. So, guys, until next time, hopefully we will have a bear back. Nope, never mind. He will not be back, and that I always say it every time.
So no bear back next episode.
no bear back next episode.
All right.
Um,
Wanted to make sure that was clear. Clarified.
his name's not even Bear anymore. Anyways, he won't be back. As hopefully we can have a replacement host to take his place, at least for that episode, and then we'll have our final Christmas episode and break for the holidays, and we'll then come back for season 3. I guess is where we're gonna be now in terms of the any key. So guys, catch you next time. Hopefully I can give you a topic at the end. I really would like to start planning these out more further ahead in advance, but for now, just know that we'll be back and we'll have something good to talk about. So
Until then,
next time, guys, keep searching for the any key.